This is called Another Fall, and it came to me early in the week, and it's about my mother. The dread starts late August, when the precocious maple flaunts a spot of gold, a hint of burning orange. The geese decamp soon after, shouting their departure, jeering, "Not you, not you." The cows build thicker coats, their breath like fog as she makes her rounds for morning milking. The clocks fall back an hour. The leaves abandon the trees, crumble under her feet, trampled like the vision she once had of life somewhere else, anywhere else. She shoves reddened hands deep into her coat pockets, pulls chin toward chest, waits for the walls to close in, as they do each winter, as the snowbanks climb higher, as every step from house to barn, barn to house, takes on more weight, more struggle. She'll never be warm again. She knows this, knows there is no escaping the winter, the weight of her obligations, the cracks in her marriage, the infinite cycle of chores. Some days she's too tired for anger. Other days, bitterness is all that keeps her moving. The thaw is months away. Sometimes she remembers robins, dreams of crocuses, but it's so hard to believe in them or herself when all she can see is snow. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Beautiful. Okay, and next we have Anita. Anita, would you like to say a little bit about your poems?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm going to read two poems, and they're not in the order they are printed on your sheet. So I'm going to read the poem called I Visit Frida Kahlo's House first.
Okay.
In 2001, I went to Mexico City, and when I went to Frida's house, I knew that someday I would write about it. So here I am, 10 years later, finally trying to do it. As I'm sure
Oops. Anita, I think Anita's frozen for a minute.
the poem I wrote is a long narrative poem, which I'm not even sure is a poem, but it says what I want it to say. The second short poem I'll read, Small Things, just came to me quickly when I saw some violets on the side of the road. I visit Frida Kahlo's house. The house painted blue.
Anita.
Yes.
Anita, oh, you're muted. Do you want to start again? You muted yourself. Now you're fine. Oh,
Maybe
now you're muted.
Maybe we should all mute too.
I got it now.
Okay, everybody mute but Anita. There we go.
Did you hear my little intro?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I visit Frida Kahlo's house. The house painted blue, a dull, plain, ordinary blue, unworthy of metaphor. A sprawling garden, green, leathery plants, tall, spiky, phallic, long, rubbery, snake-like, small cement blocks of Aztec gods demanded child sacrifices, got them. Fat, ugly gods, like fat, ugly Diego. This is Diego's garden. No Frida. No flower here. Inside Frida's house, all color, paintings of big, bright oranges, watermelons split open, lush, gorgeous squashes, thick leaves, intense red tomatoes, pomegranates, everywhere fruits, vegetables, growing, brilliant, spilling seeds. Her diary open to a drawn page, 19 years old, impaled on the pole in the bus, split open through the middle, a facing page being sewn together like a damaged painting, like a split watermelon closing up, again whole, but never undamaged, drawn there in black and white for all to see. Upstairs, Frida's bedchamber, a clutter of blinding light, everywhere beads, fuchsia, gold, silver, hanging from the ceiling, from the walls, small colored glass jars lining the windowsill, blue and purple and yellow, dolls and donkeys, suns and moons, miniature sombreros, collected mementos, a painting of her lover against an easel, her wheelchair there too, life fully lived, senses alive. Frida's bed, lace silk pillowcases, satin sheets stretched, and blankets piled for comfort and warmth. A mirror above in the ceiling so she can lie flat and paint with her toes, the self-portraits in museums now, obsessed with her image, with her interior experience, beautiful, dark-haired, slightly mustached, heavily eyebrowed, wheeling herself to all the marches, Frida the communist, the pinko, the radical, the liver of life. The bottom of the bed, here her tight corsets, her cruel braces, her stiff harnesses, worn to hold her together, to ease the wound. These garments are what I have come all this way to be with, to touch them gently, one by one. Touching them makes them real, lets me bear witness. I have come to honor your bearing of the pain, the severe, excruciating, tortuous pain, and to know that you, Frida Kahlo, survived it, lived fully, created, loved much.
Woo. Woo.
This is Small Things. When I was little, I thought the purple violets that sprang up on our lawn were the babies of the irises in my mother's lavish garden. I thought the yellow buttercups that sprinkled over our hillside were the babies of the daffodils in my mother's cut glass vase. I have always loved small things, snails and mussels, mussel shells and pomegranate seeds from Persephone, and the new leaves of ferns that are still hard nuts, waiting to unravel. Small things leave room for big skies, for acres of cornfields, for secret meadow hideouts where lovers make secret love, for cemeteries with rows of graves. Small things leave room for empty spaces, for empty darkness, where loss and grief commingle in little nighttime worlds where I can weep in private, undiscovered, inconsolable.
Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful. Now we're going to go to Sam, I believe. Let me just see. Sam, are you ready?
No, but I'll go.
You don't have to go. I can go to someone else.
No, we're fine.
Okay.
Yeah, this poem was from a prompt having something to do with being wrong. I ruined my Aunt Charlotte's record player. The mechanism fascinated me. I must have been 10. How the tone arm came up off the record, swung out of the way for the next record in the stack to drop onto the turntable. Then how it came down lightly at the beginning of the disc to continue the Nutcracker Suite. I played with the mechanism, made the turntable go backwards to see what would happen. What happened is that it broke. All the king's horsemen and all the king's men, it's all the king's horses and all the king's men arrived, also known as my father, who could fix anything, and he got it working again. But it was never quite right after that, a reminder for me of original sin. What really needed fixing was my condemnation of myself. My curiosity about Charlotte's record player was not, in fact, an expression of my intrinsic wrongness. Both Charlotte and my father knew this, but I did not. I carry it with me still.
I think we can all relate to that in some way. Sam, would you like to read your other poem too that I couldn't put on the on this, but you should all have it in the email.
Yeah, let me pull it up.
And I hope you all are looking at the chat because there's lots of comments and reactions to your words. Amazing.
Okay, here's this. This one was written yesterday as a result of a meditation practice. Spring, a festival of fragrances. Here's one. When the wind is just right, pungent, nameless. An echo of odors past, like the smell of the blanket in the meadow at summer camp. We were supposed to be napping. Wool, heat, buzzing. A little airplane skywriting Pepsi-Cola. Spring, a lifetime of odors in every moment. And it's only April 9th.
Oh my, these are amazing, amazing. I hope everybody's just taking them in and warming your heart and your soul with them. They're just, oh, this is the real medicine. Thank you, Sam.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Emily, would you like to go next?
Sure.
Hi, Emily.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Laundry room nail. For the first time, I noticed the naked nail hammered by hand into the wide wall above our white washing machine. Now words tumble in torrents, tickle my temples, permanent press my pen to paper, demand I delight in their dervish. Now words spin like my satin sheets set on sanitize. Bulky bedding builds behind my eyes, insists I immediately initiate a poem, as if I have a heavy duty to tell you about the nail.
Emily, would you mind reading that one again?
Is that okay, Laurie? Do we want to save that for the end? For the first time, I noticed the naked nail hammered by hand into the wide wall above our white washing machine. Now words tumble in torrents, tickle my temples, permanent press my pen to paper, demand I delight in their dervish. Now words spin like my satin sheets set on sanitize. Bulky bedding builds behind my eyes, insists I immediately initiate a poem, as if I have a heavy duty to tell you about the nail.
Wow.
The second one, I can't remember who to give credit to, but it was a prompt from one of our sessions, the "And I Was Alive" prompt. So that line isn't mine. So the poem is called Marathon. And I was alive when my sweat crusted across my temples and my tongue adhered to the roof of my mouth and my feet squelched in their own blister juices and my shoulders flamed with the sun's burn. And I was alive when I heard that gospel choir sing and crossed the finish line to cheers, fireworks, and I cried, the tears mixing with the other fluids that sluiced down my body and poured into the earth that itself was so alive.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you, Emily. Thank you. Annie, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Would you like to go next?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Okay, summers. It was always about the pearls. My grandmother, 4 in the afternoon, surrounded by her tea set with dark black tea steeping in the pot, cups as thin as all get out, cakes with jam and cream. All of us in her London drawing room, she in one or another of her strands, cultured pearls, imperial, different lengths, subtle grays, creams, and pinks. The front windows allowed a wide view with wild skies moving and reforming around large buildings, sunlit, matching the pink warmth, the creams and grays of the necklaces. Me lost in the colors, not keeping up with the conversation, not schooled in tea time. I didn't know whether to use lemon or milk in my tea. I asked for both, resulting in great curdling spillage, causing wild hilarity erupting from the Brits. Home in New Jersey after the summer, having picked up the English accent and now entertaining the kids on the block, I got the thick skin my mother always spoke about needing. Should I go on?
Wonderful.
The next one is called River of Words. Almost all the day, windows and doors were flown wide open, sun streaming in everywhere, lifting the old and shining all rooms with light and warmth and air, So we changed things around, took out all the blankets and pillows and a rug to the porch, hung things up out there over chairs and table to air out from this time of isolation with not others in the house, us, just us, getting closer, knowing ourselves and each other in new ways that hadn't seeped through even after 30 plus years, where there were always things to do and distractions. Remembering when last summer started, we were new to this, and now the knowing of this time will be living in us forever, informing these new selves, the ones that have come forward knowing less and knowing more.
Thank you, Annie.
You're welcome.
Such beautiful work from everyone. So meaningful. I'm going to skip past Jo because she's not here. She'll read hers again. And let's go. Bruce, would you like to go next? Bruce? Maybe I'll go back to you. Cynthia, would you like to go?
Sure. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I think this is self-explanatory. The night shift. I loved the night shift. Some people thought I was crazy, but they didn't know how quiet it was, how we had a kind of autonomy that wasn't available during the day. No docs, except when they were really needed. No housekeeping staff, no dietitians, no phlebotomists, no scheduled C-sections. Maybe a brief check-in from a supervisor. No meetings, no visitors. Just us and the patients, who were often unable to sleep, either from pain or the newness of motherhood. It was a time to offer a cup of tea, to ease the gas. It was a time to offer a cup of tea to ease the gas, or help with breastfeeding, or give calm words of encouragement, or urge the dad to be to nap while we watched over his laboring woman, or see a twin emerge unexpectedly, or grieve with the parents of a stillborn, or work with others for hours to save a bleeding mother's life, or catch a baby that arrived faster than the doc could, or sit and rock a newborn in the nursery in the quiet of the early morning dawn. And this one, I do have the picture that this poem is about. I thought it might make a little more sense if you could see it. So that's the painting that Vincent van Gogh did, called Miners' Wives Carrying Sacks of Coal. This life has no end. I don't remember even the beginning. How did my love become toil? Toil today and toil tomorrow, endlessly into a harsh unknown, just to earn enough for food, enough to sustain us for another day. My body no longer remembers straight, nor pleasure, only bend and lift and bear up. The crow's caws echo the sound of my own voice, that has forgotten how to sing.
I hope Vincent was listening to that.
I think I was muted at one point by you, Laurie. So when we get into the flow, I would like to contribute.
Okay. Thank you so much, Cynthia. Beautiful. Bruce, would you like to go next?
Yeah, well, I can go next.
Okay, I'll get you up.
Just briefly, I am a man who looked at a green vegetable on his plate last week and could not recall it was broccoli. I'm in dotage, and I'm a coach who used to tell my players, don't worry about the score, play as hard as you can. And that's what I intend to do. I'm not going to quit. I'm going to play to the final buzzer. So, fragments did messages in a bottle. My health is gone. My mind is gone. Much of who I once was has been swept away. All hands have given up because my health is gone. My mind is gone. Who picks this up from the sea? Let it be known. Fragment 1. JFK was murdered on orders given by 2 gentlemen scholars, Yale grads. Why? The gentleman believed that his murder had become necessary to win and not to settle the Cold War. Settling was appeasement. Winning was the only way not to compromise capitalist ideals and ethics. Well hidden to all but themselves, working behind curtains of democracy and freedom, the Yale men sent killers, not only to kill Jack, but to begin all of the killing necessary to craft a total Cold War victory. Jack, we remember you. Fragment 2. To win the Cold War, our grand and exclusive men set out to murder all of the complaining poor as well, worldwide, through time, to terminate anybody and every thought that work creates value. I, Martin Almada, was a victim of Operation Condor. I am one who discovered the secret archives in the Central Paraguay. I was abducted by Alfredo Stroessner's political police, brought to trial before military tribunal, tortured, charged, and found guilty of intellectual terrorism. On evidence of my doctoral thesis, promoted the campaign, A Roof of Your Own, for Paraguayan educators. My wife was forced to listen telephonically to my screams and torture. She was told I had died and to come collect the cadaver. In her stress, my wife suffered a heart attack and died. Martin Armada, Celestina Perez, we remember you. That is an attempt of me to touch on the mitzvah of burial, where you hold a stone in your left hand and you leave it at the gravesite. That's what I'm trying to do poetically there. I've not finished the next stanza that I'm still working on. It involves the assassination of President Quintana of Panama in 1955. There's a beautiful novel in Spanish put out by Gloria Gardia, who talks about wolves at dusk and puts everything down in a historic novel that she could in our research. The answer to her story question can be found on Warren Commission document 257, which is secret, but was revealed in the select committee of 15 years later, Senate on Intelligence. Richard Nixon flew to Honduras, paid the killing team, and went over all of the details of killing the president of Panama.
Mm.
Now ask yourself, did Richard Nixon do this on his own initiative? It's unreasonable to think that he did. There's only a handful of people that could have directed Richard Nixon to do this. Now, I hate going here, but it's a part of what my taxes have paid for. And I'm ashamed of not having fought it sooner, but I can at least comment as well as I can at the end of my time. I'm embarrassed that I did nothing to stop this. I was too afraid and too wrapped up in survival.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you.
You're
It
welcome.
is so important to speak out, no matter where, when. It is so important. And the beauty of poetry is that we can do it through beauty and through strength and power.
Thank you. You've been a power for me being able to put things together at the end of my life, and I'm grateful.
Namaste. Lily, are you ready to read?
Sure, yep.
Here we go.
The offering. The pond offered me solace today. She gave me wide open space under the blue summer sky to silently weep, confess, float in the illogical waters of my mind, nudging me now and again with soft waves, urging me along. We remained silent together. Her breath smelled of algae and pine. Nearby, red-winged blackbirds called to one another from the wild rosemary. A new beginning is always tucked in the folds of heartache. That's what I heard on the tailwind drawing me to shore. Ancestors. This one was inspired by a prompt we had in class and was basically written in class. Ancestors. I'm pretty sure I was born from a river, from cool waters so clear that one can see caddisflies building their homes and trout nosing between stones for food. My lineage runs freely over rocks and falls. My lineage runs freely over rocks and falls, taking stories downstream, wrapping tails around the ankles of fishermen. I feel my fluvial ancestry, a map of rivers flowing deep in my veins.
Oh, my. Gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous.
Obvious how much water is an inspiration to me.
Thank you, Lily. Thank you, thank you. William, Bill, would you like to go next?
Yes, of course.
Here we go. And I'm so glad you asked us to put this up on the screen.
I think it works better. So this poem, Love Among the Grackles, came out of watching a group of purple grackles in my backyard where I put out a lot of seed. Grackles are early migrators, and it's really easy to tell the males from females. The males are much bigger and they're this glossy, shiny purple, purplish black. And one day I was watching a group out there, and the females are much smaller and much drabber. And I was watching, and there was one particularly large male, and there was a female who was following him very closely. And he either ignored her or drove her away. And this happened over and over again. And I got to thinking about what she must feel like. So this is told from her voice. Love among the grackles. Yellow-eyed love, why do you neglect me so? I followed you from summer to this cold and empty yard, your purple feathers shiny as the moon, and now under the man feed you push me far outside. Without you, I am lost and all alone. There is nowhere I can hide. 2. I knew from the way you puff your feathers and the way the sun gleams off your beautiful head like water off rocks in the river that you've chosen another. Go ahead, strut and preen, drive them from her, she who hardly cares and seeks only the black seed in the yard. Sit in the tree and scream your raucous call. There's no need to drive me from the field. There are others. The sharp winged hawk will soon be here, following us from the south like a warm wind with a curved beak. He's fond of pretty birds who tarry too long at the feeders. I do not look like her, but I am patient as a tick in the grass, and I can wait for speckled eggs in a black stick nest. I can wait. 3. When I woke this morning in the thick cedars, they were all gone. He with eyes yellow like dawn, he with a beautiful beak, he with feathers shiny as rain. He led them from me in the dark while I dreamt of eggs speckled brown like the bottom of a stream. This is better. I still feel the call rising in me. I will go to the oak at the top of the hill and sing my grackle song as the sun warms my dark feathers. Someone will hear me. I will wait until the leaves are out, the locust until the grass is thick on the hill, until the hoppers want to be eaten. I can wait, and maybe he will remember and one day return for me. So my second poem is about getting the 2 COVID vaccinations. If some of you are old enough to have been through this also, but I wanted to write about it. So it's called The Vaccination. 1. We moved in long lines from table to table, from station to station, identification in hand like a small child. We were tired, worn out, kids on the playground after the bell sounded. Save me, we said to them. We don't want to get sick and lie in cold beds with tubes down our throat. We are tired of the same faces and closed doors and shops that barely open. Oops, I lost that. We are tired of the same faces and closed doors and shops that barely open. And then the needle, thin as a mosquito, and the sharp jab as the fluid went into us. Is this it, we thought? Now we are safe, now we can live again. And went back to cars packed tight in the high school lot, went back to homes for breakfast and radio. Went back to homes for breakfast and radio and unmade beds. But the angel of death still sat on the roofline, lounging in the cold March air as if nothing had ever happened. 2. Late again, the long line, people spaced out like cattle for the boxcars. I am a Jew heading for the camps, head shaved and doused for fleas, and again the skinny needle. This time the fluid hot as an iron mixed and merged with my blood. And who is this unwelcome visitor? I don't know you, fence jumper, not so fast. 3. I am an autumn butterfly, fresh from the chrysalis, just in time for snow. I will never be the same again. I have never been this tired.
Holy, 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 holy. Oh my. The beautiful leaps. Thank you so much, William.
Oh, thank you for bringing us together.
Oh my. I really wonder how many people have written about that experience of getting the vaccination, but you did it with such a wide angle. Thank you. Heather, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Wonderful. Hi.
Hi. Thank you, everyone. I feel so honored to follow up after you all. So talented. This first poem is from a prompt from another writing group, and the first 3 lines are from Anita. The violets. Every spring, the violets grew along the schoolyard, scattering triumphantly. Yes, we did it again. Gentle little quivers among the grass with each cool breeze, cheerfully smiling with faces up towards the sun. We would sit together, girls at recess, carefully picking each one, gathering and gathering until enough could be woven into crowns and rings and wedding bands. Now go find the groom, one shouted, and a pallbearer too. The rest of us giggling behind small pale hands. Josie would always go and gather John. She would lead him over, gripping his hand as he sheepishly complied with her proposal. The wedding began on the stone steps, the bridesmaids and groomsmen lined up along each railing. Mary's little sister would play the flower girl, tenderly clasping a few violets at first, and eventually just clutching them all and flinging them into the air. The ring bearer had an accident and needed to change his pants, and there at the top of the steps stood Josie and John and Lydia holding her grammar book instead of the book of Job. And there we all were, giggling, smiling, watching the violets falling from our crowns and cascading gently over our feet. The next poem is, it emerged from a prompt in one of our earlier classes about, I think it was about emerging and change. It's called Free. Born among the milkweeds, cells form, shell shatters. I'm going to start over. Free. Born among the milkweeds, cells form, shell shatters, hatch, eat, shed, grow. 6 true legs walk, 10 faults, 10 faults, 10 faults, move. Legs crawl, legs climb, stretch, eat, shed, grow. 6 true legs, 10 faults, march. Leg on leaf, leg on leaf, leg on leaf, go. Tentacles touch, tentacles tickle, feel, eat, shed, grow. Body creeps along leaf, muscles squeeze, muscles squeeze, muscles squeeze. Arc, thorax rise, head turn, lift, eat, shed, grow. Pace along under the sun, slow down, slow down, slow down, munch. Abdomen push, body wrinkle, form, attach, dislodge, shed. Hook on hairy silk pad, change shape, change shape, change shape, wait. Skin crack, layer peel, emerge, open, fly, free.
Yay. Oh, wow. We're all tingling with excitement. Wow. Thank you so much, Heather. Amazing, amazing. Ellen. I'm rhyming. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hi. Would you like to go next?
Sure.
I think we're at our last one.
Well, I'll just say that I can be very talkative, but I also hide a lot of what I've done, what's inside. So in my own way, I am learning late in life, different from Bruce, but late in life, I'm learning to speak up. So that's what this is about. And this is a true story. Just buck up. What a relief to speak up, stand up, show up, and stop putting up. And I did. And I really didn't have to do much at all. When the young man popped spryly back into his car, I just straightforwardly inquired if he noticed he was in a handicapped spot. Oh, I just had to run in for something quick. Aren't you lucky? I replied in the same tone of voice as if asking to please pass the salt. And the next one, hopefully you've all experienced. Alizera, the wind. The wild, wonderful wind winds up the tree and down, whistling, whispering, whimpering, winning, whining, always strong and winning. Even the gentle breezes, a wonderment. Warm and wanton, waltzing and wistful, scurrier of leaves, scatterer of seeds, carrier of weather. Watch her and you'll see.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah, another W.
Really. Thank you, everyone. I think we got everybody in an hour. My goodness. Would you all like to just take a moment, take a breath, and then we'd love to have some dialogue, I think, and questions for the poets. If there's anything you'd like to ask anyone or have anyone read anything over.
This is just a technical issue for Anita. And Anita, when you read your poems aloud, and they're marvelous poems, the way you read them was not exactly the way it was on paper. And I actually think it was better the way you read them. There were wonderful words that you had apparently on your sheet of paper that weren't on this page here. So, I wish you could just get the two together, because those are pretty special poems.
Thank you very much. I did make a few tweaks, but I didn't get them to Laurie. I did make a few tweaks. Thanks for noticing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We're always tweaking, aren't we? Poets tweak.
It's hard to stop.
And I'd like to say something to Anita too. When you began to read the poem about visiting Frida's house, it was really amazing to me how I could participate in that visit with you and how really special it was. You wrote it in a way that brought it off the page and into life, and it was really good.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Every place you traveled in that poem, we were there with you in living color.
Yeah.
Yes. I'd like to ask a question of the man who wrote the poem about the vaccines. I don't remember his name or the poem. Okay, so when he started the poem, he was talking about a vaccine. And I wondered if he was referring to the vaccine today or a previous vaccine that he had received. I'm just curious.
No, that was very much having received Pfizer 1 and 2.
Okay.
This happened just a couple weeks ago.
And can I ask you a personal question?
Of course.
Are you a Holocaust survivor?
No, not at all. So why did I bring up I am a Jew, bound for the camps, head shaven and doused for fleas? Because the second time I went for the vaccine, I felt like we were being lined up for something that wasn't good. I felt that that image occurred to me, and it was one of the reasons why I decided to write a poem about being vaccinated. There was something about the experience. It was this odd mixture of being set free from the fear of getting the disease to feeling like being regulated. I mean, there's a couple of images of that, like cattle waiting for the boxcar.
I see.
But no, I was just being imaginatively Jewish.
Was good.
I'm glad you asked that, Jan. That was an incredible transition in that poem.
Well, I think it really does speak to the mixed feelings. If you any of you watch Rachel Maddow, she talked about it last night. The mixed feelings of getting it and being relieved, and at the same time scared to death, you know, which is valid for everybody.
Yeah. You know, in
So
poetry, to put those different feelings next to each other, that's such power.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Other comments for the poets and all those wonderful poems we heard.
Is this being recorded, Laurie?
Yes, it is.
Laurie, I see that Jim is here now.
Hi. Hi, Jen. Would you like to read your poems? Let me get to them. Okay, Jim, are you there? Where are you?
Jim, you're muted.
Muted. Muted. Where are you? I gotta find you.
Okay, it says unmute. So am I unmuted?
Hi. Yeah, we got you now.
Hi there. I was saying it's too embarrassing to explain why I wasn't there for the first hour. So I won't explain. I can't read on my screen. Well, maybe I can. Let me see. Yeah, I guess I can. Okay. You want me to go ahead and read?
Yes, please.
Okay. Morning haiku alights on my sleeping shoulder. Perfect butterfly. In joyous chorus, all the birds agree it's spring. Hungry cat in my sleeping face. Good morning. And the most appropriate one for today, my train of thought has left the station without me. And born a he, she's clearly a she, just as she says. Employees must wash hands before returning to work, the filthy restroom. And then finally, the found poem. And I'll give a little background. I believe I ran across this in a museum, a war museum in Vietnam, what they call the American War. And I believe this was a part of a label on an exhibit. Death is light as a feather.
Ooh. Wow. Wow. That's incredible. Thank you, Jim. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
How about some more questions for the poets? Comments?
I have something that I noted about Sam's poem, Original Sin. Oh, there you are. I loved in the poem the line, all the king's horsemen and all the king's men arrive, because it's such, you know, from a childhood rhyme. And I really like that you said that, because this is from a childhood perspective in a way. So I really like that you wrote that. And then I also wanted to say for Bruce, in your first stanza, how you ended, my mind is gone, who picks this up from the sea, let it be known. I just thought that was really poignant, the anticipation and the unknown.
Yes. I wanted to comment. I mean, I could comment on everybody's, and I want to, but I just wanted to make a note of Emily. Is she still here? I don't think so, but I think we all kind of got such a kick out of this laundry room nail.
Yes.
And how it was so.
Right.
I don't know what to say, but seeing these now words on one line was pretty cool. That entrance into the waterfall of words.
I was wondering if she was doing a particular technique in the way that her alliteration, like tumble, torrent, tickle, temples, did that come from a past class prompt or something?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I just think she used alliteration, right? Sounds, rhythm. But I may be wrong. Does anyone, I don't think we had anything like that.
I think what I like so much about that poem is that it brought back, I think, a prompt from the class, so I'm not sure which one, but it talked about taking something that was very ordinary and very simple and allowing it to call to you, allowing it to speak to you how, or whatever it wants to say. And I thought it was a delightful poem. I liked it.
Yes, that's probably it. Yeah, what do the ordinary things in our lives have to tell us? You know, we brush over them so easily, and there's a relationship there, especially the things that we see and experience every day with our things, in our ordinary rooms and world.
Yeah, and you know, David White has a poem called "Everything Is Waiting for You," and it's very much the same idea. See how the coffee pot waits for you, you know. So it's delightful.
Yeah.
It makes us become into the present moment, I think.
Totally.
And really notice our lives.
Totally. Yeah. Other comments for people?
I had a question for Heather.
Heather. Yes.
Let's see. This is pretty literal and not so poetic, but I'm just curious, Heather. In Free, I really loved the way you wrote it, but I'm just curious, literally, like when you 6 true legs walk, 10 false. I'm just trying to understand that, which isn't very poetic, but I'm just wondering if, like cracking out of a shell, they also lose some of their feet. I don't know. Can you say something about that?
Yeah, I did some research on monarch butterflies, and apparently when they are caterpillars, they have 6 legs that aren't, they have 6 legs that are true and 10 that I think are just more like tentacles and not true legs. So they have 10 faults.
Okay.
Wow.
Thank you.
It's a good metaphor for shedding what we don't need when we really come into transformation, isn't it?
Yeah, when we hold on to too much stuff, when we only need 6, we're dragging along 10.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Thank you.
I've got a question for myself. Uh, I was wondering why I get so involved with the dark side sometimes. And I think it's because I really like doing homework and understanding. I don't want people to fool me, and I'll take it to the end. The other thing is, it's only half the story. The poem is about grackles and love and the flowers. The story of love is incredibly powerful against the idiocy of what we live within in our governance. Largely it's men, and I'm looking forward to intelligent women taking over the world, because right now there's too many men involved, and they end up with God, we have to kill. No, you don't. No, you don't. Forget that it was a long time ago we were fighting the big cats. You don't do that anymore. But it's hard for them to understand.
I think that speaks, Bruce, to the importance of connection, and how, the importance of connection, relationships that women are so good at, and not to take anything away from men, but it's in our nature because of our biology. We have to do that. We have to care about relationships, and I think that's what we do in these poetry groups. It's not just about reading our poems and getting better words from each other. It's about making connections with each other and forming that community.
I'd like to say something to Bruce about his question about going into what seems like the darkness. I think that, Bruce, what leads you there, I just would like to present a different spin on it. What leads you there is curiosity. It's just a curiosity. And often when we become curious about something that just sort of nudges at us, we end up in a shadow that hasn't had any light shed on it. And I think to me, that's what I see you doing, is allowing your curiosity to engage. And when it does, like I said, often that'll lead us into a place of shadow, and half truths, and mirrors and shadows. So anyway, I just offer that to you, a different perspective.
I agree, and it's definitely a curiosity there, but the other half is also curious. Love is born out of curiosity. When you fall in love with somebody, you're curious about what they are and what you might experience by surrendering to that. So there's a balance. I'm out of balance, but I'm struggling to find it beforehand. I'd like to do it well.
Well, I think the Kabbalists teach us that it's in the darkness, it's in the darkest places that we find the brightest light. And maybe that's what you're looking for, is the bright light.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Other thoughts? How was it reading the poems in the group today for everyone?
I loved it. I didn't read any, but I loved it.
Yeah, I agree. The readings
I still think that poetry is much an oral tradition as it is a written one.
Yeah.
And I think poems need to be read out loud. I think it's vital.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Absolutely. Yep. To ourselves and to others.
Yep.
Well, while we're talking about this, I can put in a plug for a compact disc that is not completed yet, but that my partner Aaron and I recite other people's poetry. Aaron writes music and plays it on the piano to supplement
how nice.
the reading of the poetry. It really enhances the poetry. Aaron is a superb musician, and we've actually recorded 17 poems.
Oh,
Yay.
And the
Yeah,
engineer
good.
has to
Yeah.
do fine tuning. We have to do the graphics and figure out a name for the CD, and then watch while nobody buys it, because who wants to buy poetry read out loud and accompanied with music? But it's
we
really,
will.
I
We
do.
will.
I'll let I'll let you know about it when it happens.
Will you let us know when it's ready?
Yes, I will. It's really quite extraordinary. People
Mhm.
who are not attracted to poetry, um, this really increases the accessibility of the poetry to have music to go with it. You'll see.
Also, just a quick plug for April 29th, online virtual free celebration of poetry that is done every year that Meryl Streep kind of facilitates, and all these poets are going to be there. It's usually at Lincoln Center, but it's going to be online for free. And I think I sent around a place to register for it. It should be great. I've never gone because I didn't go to Lincoln Center, but it's so nice that we can see it. And there are many celebrations, I think, going on this month, just to look out for, you know, and share with the group when you find one for National Poetry Month. It's
I
really
should say
fabulous.
I should say that some of the poetry that we actually included on the CD, with the poet's permission, we found on store windows in Montpelier a couple of years ago.
Wonderful, wonderful.
And I will share that in McDonald's in Western Connecticut, I saw Meryl Streep in the other line, and she ordered a very large selection of French fries. She ate them one at a time. First it was vertical, and then it tipped to her mouth, and then she ate it. But again, small bites, one at a time. I love
You ought to
that.
write a poem about that.
Yeah. And send
Wonderful
it to her.
This comes from doing homework, I think.
Yeah.
Homework gets you everything. You want to dance, do your homework first.
So maybe I'll read a poem by William Stafford that sort of describes what we did today a little bit. Just to sort of end upon. It's called A Ritual to Read to Each Other by William Stafford. If you don't know the kind of person I am, and I don't know the kind of person you are, a pattern that others made may prevail in the world, and following the wrong God home, we may miss our star. For there is many a small betrayal in the mind, a shrug that lets the fragile sequence break, sending with shouts the horrible airs of childhood storming out to play through the broken dike. And as elephants parade holding each other's tail, but if one wanders the circus, won't find the park. I call it cruel, and maybe the root of all cruelty, to know what occurs but not recognize the fact. And so I appeal to a voice, to something shadowy, a remote, important region in all who talk. Though we could fool each other, we should consider lest the parade of our mutual life get lost in the dark. For it is important that awake people be awake, or a breaking line may discourage them back to sleep. The signals we give, yes or no, or maybe, should be clear. The darkness around us is deep.
Wow.
Great poem,
Thank
right?
you. Yeah.
Laurie, I want to offer my thanks for facilitating this workshop. It's been an inspiration and moving to listen to all of you poets. A lot of you poets, I've seen your names on PoemCity Poems and been admiring your work from afar. And it's really wonderful to hear you read and wonderful to see the work coming out of this workshop. And thank you, Laurie, for being the facilitator for this workshop and allowing this to happen.
My absolute pleasure. It's just a joy.
Yeah.
Thank you all. And I guess we're done for now. And I will see you all next week, hopefully. And thank you, Michelle, for making this possible, and for the wonderful Kellogg Library that's always been at the forefront of making all these kinds of things possible, including PoemCity, which is incredible. Please go look at the poems on all the walls, all the windows. It's a real joy to walk. I get emotional thinking about it, to walk around the city and read the poems.
It is.
And those of us who couldn't make it today send their best wishes, and we will see you all next week. And send me poems, everybody, this week for us to look at for next Saturday.